The Oppo F5, or as Oppo puts it, the new selfie expert to capture the real you. If you're someone who uses the internet or watches TV, or hell, even steps outside your house, these are taglines you just can't miss. Now, given all that marketing hype, is the Oppo F5 worth a look? Is this a phone that the real you must buy? Well, let's find out in this video. But before we do, if this is your first time here, or in case your blind rage against Oppo phones has caused you to forget everything, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. So as always, let's start with build and design. To the front, on top, we've now got only one camera, but this is a 20 megapixel camera. Then there's the earpiece and sensors. Now that's followed by a 6-inch display. This display is of the 18:9 kind, and given the high screen to body ratio, Oppo had no space for capacitive keys or fingerprint scanners here. The fingerprint scanner, it has been moved to the back. The placement seems fine and the scanner itself seems as responsive as always. Above that, we find the 13 megapixel camera with a f1.8 aperture, a single LED flash, and Oppo branding. Let's quickly circle back to that display. This happens to be an IPS LCD display with a 2160 by 1080 pixel resolution, or as more commonly known, Full HD+. The display is quite sharp for all day-to-day usage stuff except maybe VR, given the 400 plus ppi pixel density. The viewing angles are excellent too, with the panel not exhibiting any unnatural discoloration when not viewed head-on. The color reproduction is quite natural, and it also gets bright enough to be perfectly legible outdoors. I definitely am happy that Oppo's not removed the headphone jack. The output via this is quite good, and I can't help but feel very disappointed that the F5 still uses micro USB. Given the asking price and a very 2017 18:9 display, the use of a 2015 micro USB port is quite questionable. What I do like is the fact that Oppo's got a dedicated micro SD card slot apart from the two SIM slots. This is located to the right, and here we also find the power button. The volume rockers can be found to the left. Up top we just get a secondary noise cancelling microphone. The F5 is just 7.5mm thick and weighs in at about 152 grams. The curved sides mean that this phone feels slimmer than it actually is. It gives a great in-hand feel. While the F5 is just a tad taller, wider and thicker than the F3 before it, Oppo has managed to fit in a larger display here. That said, it is still not single-hand usage friendly, but given the large display, it definitely is good for media consumption. The downward firing single speaker is quite loud, but I do wish that they'd got the earpiece to double as a secondary speaker here. Now, talking about that earpiece, we had no issues with cellular reception or call quality. It was all good. Overall, as far as build and design goes, there are a lot more positives than negatives here for the F5. The 6GB red variant in particular does look excellent. That said, moving on to what's underneath the hood, here's where things get interesting. The Oppo F5 uses MediaTek's MT6763T Helio P23 chip, and let's just skip forward a bit now. Now with that, let's talk price. The 432 variant of the F5 retails for 20,000 rupees or about $310 US, where the 664 variant retails for about 25,000 rupees or $390 US. And the P23 at this price is a very questionable choice. It's not that it's a bad chip, don't get me wrong. The P23 is an octa-core chip built on the 16nm manufacturing process. It has two sets of 4A53 cores clocked at 1.65 and 2.3 GHz respectively, which should in theory put it above the Snapdragon 625. But sadly, theory doesn't always translate into reality. Case in point, the F5, especially with gaming. The MediaTek chip inside the F5 doesn't fare quite as well as its Snapdragon counterparts. While games do seem playable, they aren't as smooth as you'd expect them to be on a phone in this price segment. Barring gaming, other regular day-to-day tasks turned out okay. For the most part, Oppo's ColorOS built on top of Android 7 Nougat runs fine, apps open up quick, but at times there is a bit of lag. A drop frame here, a drop frame there. It doesn't ruin the experience, but it definitely is noticeable. And again, when you pay around 20,000 bucks for a phone, this isn't something you'd have to put up with. I can't help but wish for a different turn of events. If only Oppo would have gone with at least the Snapdragon 625 here. I mean, they do have 660 on the R11, so maybe a 630 or a 625, it would have been very different. Now, while ColorOS is not my top pick for custom interfaces, I don't find it offensive. In fact, I feel Oppo optimized it well for both the Snapdragon 653 on the F3 Plus and 660 on the R11. It's got a reasonably good feature list. Face unlock, similar to what's found on the OnePlus 5T, is present and accounted for, works as well as it did on the 5T. What I did find annoying here is the fact that while Oppo have added split screen functionality to ColorOS, Quick Switch, which is by far my favorite addition to Android in the last few years, is missing. Now, barring that, for the most part, the performance seemed above average. Now, while the performance might not be great, what is great is the battery life. The 3200 mAh battery might not sound like much, especially when coupled with a 6-inch display, but the P23 chip underneath along with ColorOS ensure that the battery lasts a day easy. On each of the 10 days that I spent with this phone, regardless of if my usage was moderate or heavy, I never needed to plug the F5 in before the end of the day. But, yep, there's a but. Given the MediaTek chip inside, Oppo's VOOC charging is not supported here, so the F5 does take a little longer than I'd like for it to charge from 0 to 100. Now, Oppo phones are all about them selfies, right? So how does the F5 fare in that regard? Oppo's gone for a large 1x2.8 inch sensor here. This 20 megapixel f2.0 selfie snapper does a great job. There's a lot of detail, the skin tones are good, the selfies shot with auto HDR on have reasonably good dynamic range as well. Thanks to some software trickery, we can also get portrait mode selfies with this camera. Of course, it is no Pixel 2, so I didn't expect it to be. That said, the images do turn out usable more often than not. Look at these selfies. The edge detection is not that bad, right? For me at least, it was better than I expected. Better than what some phones can shoot with dual rear cameras. Oppo also claims to be using AI to improve how facial features translate. The 16 megapixel f1.8 rear camera too performed above expectations. The level of detail was spectacular. You can see the tiny webs above the leaf here. The dynamic range is okay when HDR is turned off, but with auto HDR on, it gets even better. You can see that the plants are brighter and the sky isn't blown out. What I really love about the F5's camera is the shooting experience. Focusing was a breeze. I could get macro shots like this without any hassle. The tiniest of subjects can be captured easily, and given the f1.8 aperture, the depth of field is also shallow, meaning the background blur is strong. The colors are good too, a bit oversaturated, but that's totally fine. Under low light, the images aren't as bright as one would expect. They have some noise as well, but then they are very sharp. The detail levels are above average. Be it on leaves in these images or on these little stones, the color reproduction remains good too. Where the F5 kinda disappoints is with video. The F5 can shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second, while most phones in this price segment or even lower price segments can shoot 4K video. Again, this is thanks in large to that MediaTek chip inside. The quality of the footage, even at 1080p, isn't great. Poor detail levels, the dynamic range is okay, the trees here in this part of the clip look really dark. The camera also kept hunting for focus, which was really annoying. The camera app's quite similar to what we've seen in the past. In fact, so similar to the one on the R11 that it comes with a zoom option. Of course, given that this is a single camera setup, this is digital zoom. The shutter response is okay, there is a manual mode as well with options to control shutter speed, focus and so on, and even shoot RAW. If you have no idea on how to use manual mode, do check the description for a link to a video where we explain and teach you step by step on how to get some amazing shots using manual controls. Now with that, let's talk price. The 432 variant of the F5 retails for 20,000 rupees or about $310 US, where the 664 variant retails for about 25,000 rupees or $390 US. So what do we get for the price? A good looking phone with an excellent display, great cameras, brilliant selfie camera by the way, and good battery life. The main con here being the performance hit due to the P23 chip inside, the slow charging, the subpar video recording capabilities. Now, if the pros on this list rank high on your list of priorities, and if you aren't an intensive user, if you're someone who doesn't really game on your phones and are willing to overlook a few frame drops with day-to-day usage, the 432 variant might make sense for you. But 5K more for the 664 variant just seems too much given the dedicated microSD slot. If you don't want to compromise on performance though, if you want better rear cameras, a secondary camera with a telephoto lens, stock Android and all that at almost half the price, As long as you're okay compromising a bit on selfies, the Mi A1 might be something you'd be interested in. If you want that 18:9 display, then Honor has a couple of interesting phones in the running too. So there you go, my 2 cents on the Oppo F5. Do you agree with what I've had to say in this video? Do you feel I missed out on something? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you do want to pick an Oppo F5 up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. Use them, it helps the channel out. So that's it for this video. If you hated it, I'm sure you know what to do. But if you did like it, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and hit that bell icon to ensure that you get notified each time a new video goes live here on C4eTech. So that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here is Ash. You're watching C4eTech and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.